Hey guys, hello everyone. Today we're doing something a little bit special. So today I'm going to be playing a game. Actually, two games. I want to play once with one white and once with black against a new student of mine. I've never met him before. I've never even had a lesson with him yet, and I wanted with these two games that I'm playing against him to kind of try to build up some sort of profile of him, see kind of his weaknesses or the good things about his play, also some of his openings. And with making this video, the viewers can get a little bit of a clue what does it mean exactly for a chess professional, a coach, to kind of assess his student before starting working with him. That's something I believe is extremely important. I'm already giving my opponent kind of a little bit of a time advantage. Not because I wanted to, just because I wanted to explain a little bit of what is going on. Let's play something we never played so far in this channel. Did I play Nemtsovich? Let's play Nemtsovich. See how he reacts. So my normal move would be g6, but I want to play moves which I think are more common in his practice. It might be, I might be wrong, of course, but let's play Nemtsovich. So this is already a pretty big choice for him. White has many options at this position, so he plays queen c2, which is one of the main lines. I think maybe even today, maybe even the most popular move, White's idea. He actually had two ideas in mind. Either to play a3, and then after black captures to be able to recapture with the queen, or some players might prepare the move e4 with the move queen c2. Black has, I think, 3 or 4 main reactions here, either striking with the center with the move like d5 or c5, or castling. Now my normal move is c5. That's the move I normally would be playing. It's tempting also to test him for the move castling to see what is he doing there. I want to imbalance the position a little bit. So see how can he play maybe with the bishop against the knight where he has the two bishops. Okay, let's castle. It's not my normal move, so I will be forced to play a little bit without too much opening theory knowledge. So he plays e4. That's the most aggressive move. He kind of striking in the center. The principal move for black now is to break, kind of to counter strike in the center, not to let white just kind of expand all he wants without paying the price for it. I have almost no theory knowledge here, though. It's a kind of a risky choice. Let's play it still, because I'm not aware of any other options. So now knight e4. I think it's the only move. We're not going back. Bishop d3, right, so he wants to put pressure on my knight. If I'm not mistaken, I'm supposed to strike back with c5. I might be wrong. Never played this position before, but I will trust my instincts. I think c5 is the move. Black is also somewhat ahead in development. It makes sense for him to strike in the center. Knight f3. Okay. So what am I supposed to do here? It's a problem to play such a sharp position without knowing anything in the opening. So kids, don't try that at home, for sure. Always stick to your guns. Knight c6 looks like the obvious move. Let's play it. At least I don't see why it shouldn't be a good move. It puts more pressure on his pawns if he ever takes on c5. I always have knight c5 or maybe even other moves. This is a very sharp position, I believe. All of these pawns are hanging. He's uncastled also, so I might be using this pin to my advantage. What will he play here, I'm wondering. This position also is very likely to still be theoretical. I wouldn't know, of course, because it's not a familiar territory for me. But I hope for him that it is for him, because in such position, if one side knows exactly what he's doing and the other side doesn't, it usually gives the side with the theoretical knowledge a very big advantage, because the position is very sharp, and if you make kind of one wrong turn, it might go very badly. The fact that he's thinking actually makes me wonder if I was not supposed to play knight c6. If I'm not mistaken though, I think it's more common to play knight e2 in these positions, with the idea to keep the option of pushing f3 in some cases, and trying to push away this knight. So in this position I don't have to worry about the move f3. Also, it's important to notice that bishop takes e4 is not really threatening, because I can just take back, and after queen takes e4, just take on d4, and I think white loses material there. Maybe white needs just to castle, because castling, obviously being a useful move, also unpins his knight. So it would mean that he is going to threaten knight takes e4. So for example, if he castles and I'm taking his pawn, then he can take on e4, d takes e4, bishop takes e4, and I actually think that white has the advantage there, because his pieces are pointing towards my king and it looks scary. He's taking his time to think. It's a good thing. I can definitely see he's not the type of player who is kind of rushing things. Some players, even when they play a 10-minute game, by the way, if I forgot to mention, this is a 10+5 time control game. Many players in these type of time controls have the tendency to play very quickly, even when they have a lot of time. So he really takes up his time to think, which is a good thing, because I do think that this position is very critical. It's a position where he should be thinking, because if white is not sure of what is going on, like I do, he should make sure that he understands what is kind of takes his time to think, and he castles. Very good. I think it was the strongest move. So now knight no longer pins. He is threatening to take on e4. And if I'm taking on c3 first, it looks to me like I'm helping him to stabilize his center. Doesn't look very appealing. Nice move there. Trying to wonder if I really have other options than taking on d4. At the moment I don't see too many good options. So knight takes d4 is an option too. I'm wondering if I'm really getting anything by trading off the knights first. It's not entirely clear. But I feel like it would be good for me, because then his knight wouldn't be on f3, so I might be able to move to h4 with the queen. So let's do this. So now I think it's pretty forcing. He would take on d4, I will take back, he would take on e4, he would be threatening at the end my pawn on h7, and that is why I was kind of counting on the move queen h4, taking advantage of the fact that the knight on f3 doesn't exist. So queen h4. Now this move protects h7. That's one of the reasons, probably the main reason why I exchanged knights first. I do think that white probably is having a slight advantage here because of two reasons. One of them is that I have some small development issues here. The bishop on c8 isn't really going anywhere very soon because when he moves I might be hanging my b7 pawn. My other small problem is this pawn on d4 is pretty far advanced. It doesn't have any supporting pawns nearby that can try to defend him. So if this pawn is going to be under attack, for example a move like rook d1, I would then have to play rook d8, maybe at some point bishop c5, but that's for sure a target for white to attack, this pawn. That's why I think white is probably slightly better here. Maybe not a very substantial advantage, but probably if you ask an engine, it would give white some small advantage here, maybe something like 0.4, 0.5. a3. So it's a logical move because he's pushing my bishop away. I think it doesn't make sense for me to play bishop c5 or bishop a5 because it just gives him a tempo to play b4 and bishop b2. So the obvious move for me now is going back on e7. Should I just play it? Don't see really why not. The only disadvantage of going back on e7 is I'm cutting off some squares from my queen, so theoretically I'm more endangered. Endangered or in danger? In danger of being trapped. I'll just go back on e7, should be safe. Probably the battle in the next few moves is going to revolve around the pawn on d4. So if I would be white now, I would probably try to target this pawn. So once again, rook d1 is an option, or to play a move like b4 followed by bishop b2 seems nice as well. And black will be, I think, forced to defend this pawn a little bit passively. And the other issue I will have to solve in the future is once again this bishop and also the rook. When the bishop cannot go out, very often also the rook gets stuck. So rook d1. Yes, so he's playing very logical moves, I like it. I think this player is a very solid player. Maybe doesn't like too many complications, he's keeping his position pretty safe. So rook d8 seems to be the obvious move now. Now I would guess a move like b4 or b3 would follow. I don't think it makes too much sense for him to play g3 at this point, because then my queen will go back to h5 and putting some pressure on his central pawn. The thing I'm not too sure about, admittedly, is my next move. So if it would be my move right now, I'm not sure what I would do, because the bishop has difficult times to be developed. Technically, if I have no other choice, I can play rook b8 followed by b6 and bishop b7. This is one way to solve my development problem. The disadvantage or the drawback of this plan, it takes a lot of moves. And I don't think I have so much time at my disposal because my development issues are pretty serious. And probably I just don't have literally enough time to complete this plan. So he plays b4 as we would probably guess. So maybe if I were him, I would play b3. The small drawback of the move b4, it gives me this option of playing a5 and putting some pressure on his. I think I should do this. I don't see other options. So a5. So I'm happy if white plays b5, because then it gives me a very comfortable square for the bishop to sit on c5. Also, I should be happy to trade off pawns. So for example, if he plays bishop b2, and then we're going to trade his b pawn for my central pawn, I should be happy as well, because I'm kind of getting rid of my weak pawn. So perhaps what he should do is rook to b1, trying to maintain this pawn on b4, and then slowly try to attack my pawn on d4. In general, by the way, this position is very kind of slow going, which is okay. I'm not 100% sure though. I think in this position, if he would play the move b3, maybe I would not have this resource of a5, and then white would just have much easier times attacking my pawn on d4. That's probably what he should have done, but we can check this after the game very quick with the engine. So does he have any other options? I don't see. The queen cannot really move too much because she needs to defend the bishop on e4. Bishop d2. Okay, instinctively I don't like this move because it blocks the rook, and it seems like the bishop doesn't really belong on that square. But at the same time, maybe maybe it's okay. I have some tactical opportunity which I need to calculate. Takes, rook takes, d3, trying to cut off the communication. And then bishop takes d3, queen d4. I'm sorry if this is a very long calculation and some of you it's difficult to follow, but my queen would attack the rook and skewer both bishops. I'm wondering if this is working. So I think it is working. Maybe if I take on b4, he needs to take with the bishop. Perhaps. So anyways, he's threatening to take on a5, so I feel like I have to take on b4 anyways. I think bishop d2 was probably not the best move. We will see that. We will check that. So I have to trade off the rooks. And now this is a very critical move. It might win. If this is working, it's a winning move. My only concern after bishop d3, queen d4, he has bishop h7 check, king h8. But it seems to be working for me, because then you still have 1, 2, 3 hanging pieces. He would have to play bishop c3, I think, in order to save his rook. Then I can, at the very minimum, just take on c4. I'm regaining the pawn, and his bishop is still on h7 in a very problematic position. So this seems to be working, but it's such a tactical move that I really feel like double checking, because I don't want to embarrass myself too much. Seems to work. Okay, let's do this. It should be working, and I'm a little bit low on time, so I think I will just trust my intuition, which says that it should work. He must take. That is absolutely forced, because any other move just hangs the bishop. So I think it's not good thing that that he's thinking a little bit about this. I think, now that I think about it, I think I missed one detail. I think after bishop takes d3, queen d4, there is rook a3. I think I've missed this move. I'm curious if he will see it, but then I can just take the pawn on e5. So it should be interesting. The position is definitely very, very tactical and lively, but he must take on d3. A very good point to learn from this position is that if you have a forced move, just do it. I think what is happening for him right now, that he thinks that he's going to lose, and this is why it takes time for him to make the move. But what he should do is just take on d3 and then think, kind of, and you should have done it without spending a minute about it, because the minute on the clock is going to be very critical. Now this move that he played is an interesting move. I did not consider it originally, but I thought it's a risky move, because if I take on d3, he takes, I take with the rook, rook c8 check, bishop f8. He has some issues with the back rank, but it seems to be holding after bishop e1. And if I play rook d1, there is king f1, right? So if nothing works, I can take his pawn on e5, but then my h7 pawn is hanging. Another interesting move is just to keep the tension somehow, just to play a move like g6, for example. Maybe psychologically this is the strongest move. Just to keep everything hanging, let him make a move. So I want to play some move on the king side that gives my king a lift square. g6, the only thing I don't like, that it allows bishop h6. I'm getting low on time as well. That's the issue. Probably I will play g6, though I must say there are some interesting moves to consider there, but I'm too low on time to figure everything. Also, it's interesting to go h5. Man, I'm low on time. Okay, let's play g6. This is 5 seconds increment, so there should be no time issues, at least not big ones. Probably there were some interesting options instead of g6, maybe going h6 or h5 or g5. I'm actually curious after the game to see what the engine will have to say. At the moment I'm a pawn down, but his pieces are pretty badly hanging there. So, man, no time. Whoa, almost lost on time there. So I think now the position is going to get a little bit calmer now that the pieces are getting exchanged. Position is probably around equal. Each side has his small advantages. I think his last move was probably a blunder, because now my bishop gets on a very strong position. This is, luckily for him, not a checkmate. So he will probably my last move was not so good. Yeah, time trouble doesn't really gets really the best of us. Yeah, probably it was a very bad idea to just allow that exchange. Position is still very equal. My only advantage was the fact that my bishop was slightly superior to his, but then I just went to exchange it. Bishop to d4. Probably I should play f6 just to neutralize the activity of that bishop. So we are playing now on the very low time. Let's bring the king closer to the center. So it's a little bit of I feel like now it's a little bit of battle of nerves, like who has kind of who is more who is able to keep up with his nerves for longer. The endgame is still pretty equal, but each of us might try to do some things. He's done a pretty good job in this game. I don't think he committed a very serious mistakes in any stage of the game. He played solid chess. Probably the logical outcome of this game should be a draw. But I'm willing to keep on playing a little bit to see how he deals with time trouble. Some people do it better than others. I think his last move was a pretty critical mistake because now he's enabling my king to get activated. So I think he should have not taken on f5. Now with such an active king, I think that if anything, it's only black that can win this position. But it will require some technique for sure. Let's play this move. So now I want to make this pawn a pass pawn, not the f pawn. The f pawn will not be that dangerous because the promoting square is light square and I have the dark square bishop. So I prefer to push my g pawn forward. It will probably take. If he plays h4, it lets me keep my 2 pawns. I have some small chances to win in this position, I feel like. It's not very clear, but I do have chances. Let's see how he's doing in the time trouble. This is something which is kind of inevitable in modern chess. I feel like every chess player needs to have, at least in some degree, the ability to deal with the time trouble. There's just no other way. So my idea would be now to try to round that pawn on b4. I cannot play bishop c3 because then he would exchange and play b5. This should be a draw now. He should just not exchange the bishops. If he exchanges the bishops, he will lose. I will still try to win in this position. It's still a very interesting endgame because my king is I can try to play for just a little bit before agreeing to a draw. Of course, objectively it's a draw. It's no doubts about that. Probably this is like the easiest way for a draw. Yeah, so I just cannot push the pawn. Yeah, the diagonal for his bishop is just too long. I probably have practically 0 chances winning in this position. Let's play for maybe like a little bit of, maybe just a couple of more moves, and then we will agree to a draw. Still a draw. But once again... Oh, I missed bishop c3? Wait. Oh no, it would still be a draw. I was worried for a second there. I think he done the wrong thing going to d5. The thing I think his king should have gone the other way. So my idea is now constantly push his bishop away from the diagonal in order to keep pushing my pawn, but he is always in time to kind of go around it. Yeah, my chances to win this are not great. Very likely to be a draw. Yeah, so maybe if I would have one more tempo to play bishop b2, then I would have some chances. Probably not anymore. Now whenever I play bishop b2, he just exchanges bishops and takes my pawn. Yeah. The only thing I can do now is try to put some psychological pressure by playing quick moves. But yeah, that will be a draw very soon. Yeah, I think I will agree to a draw now. He declines the draw. No, that was probably just a mistake. Yeah, this deck, he will just always have enough squares for his bishop to stop my pawn. That's the issue. If the pawn was on c2, then the position, this is something different. Then I have some chances to kind of push away his bishop. I think when we just entered the endgame, I still had some good chances to win. But once we got to this end game, whoops, did I win? What happened? Whoops, that was not intentional. But I must say, that was a very solid game by my opponent. Almost made no substantial mistakes. No, he found that move rook a8, which even I kind of didn't take too seriously. I also want to check a little bit this opening. Let's take a quick review of this game with the engine. Okay, so the end game is, I think, just a draw. Probably nothing changed in this endgame for a very long time. I do feel like in this endgame I had some chances with my active king, but probably not sure. Maybe the engine still can hold this into a draw. But I think I missed my good chances with the bishop on c6. I felt like I misplayed it. So the engine really likes white's position here. A bit surprised by that, but this was a pretty interesting moment. So the engine says, not a very strong engine, but he says my move was best, but I was curious about other moves. So basically all of this d3 tactic was not that amazing. That's what the engine has to say, that rook a8 was the best move. And then for some reason he really likes the move c5. I don't entirely get that move. Maybe he just wants to push his pawns there. I'm also curious about this position, because as I said, I felt like white was better throughout after the opening. So probably knight c6 is a very natural move, but you see apparently it's just a theoretical mistake. I'm supposed to take on d4 and play knight d7. Yeah, actually, now that I see it in front of me, I have a small deja vu. Maybe in the database. Yeah, that's how grandmasters play this position. So knight c6. Don't play that move, children, because I suffered quite a bit in order to secure the draw eventually. So a very solid play by the opponent. I will end this video in order not to make it too long, and we will continue this the rematch in the next video. Thank you really guys for watching. I've recently also hit 3,000 subscribers on YouTube. That was extremely exciting for me, and very soon I will make some special occasion for this. It will be either some simultaneous game against subscribers, maybe just a live stream playing against viewers. We will see. Definitely some treats are at your way, guys, so stay tuned. See you guys. Bye bye.